You may have noticed in the program, in all the recipes I call for pasture-raised meat, pasture-raised eggs, grass-fed beef, etc. And in this video, I want you to understand the different classifications of meat and meat products, and I want you to understand why it is that I make the recommendations that I do. The main question we just keep coming back to in this program is it natural? And with humans, when we live an unnatural life, when we eat unnatural foods, it affects our mood, it affects our health, it affects all kinds of things across the board, and one of the reasons it does that is because it affects us at a chemical level. Now, the same thing is true of animals. When they live unnatural lives, when they live in unnatural habitats, when they eat unnatural food sources for them, it affects them on a chemical level. And those chemical changes in the meat pass right on to us when we eat that meat. It may seem like eating cow or eating pig or eating chicken is a natural thing, and in a way it is. But our whole lifestyle around meat turns it from what's almost a natural thing into what's a very unnatural thing. To illustrate, I've got a list of things that were eaten on the Lewis and Clark expedition across the country. Over the period of, I believe, just under or just over a year, the party ate deer, elk, bison, antelope, bear, beaver, otter, goose, brant, grouse, turkey, plover, wolf, dog, horse, hawk, coyote, fox, crow, eagle, gopher, muskrat, squirrel, rabbit, turtle, mussels, crabs, salmon, and trout. And that's not a complete list. And if we're talking natural, when we're eating that deer, we're eating everything chemically, we're getting everything that the deer gets from that grass. When we're eating, say, a bear, we're eating everything that bear gets from when it eats other things, everything that bear gets when it eats huckleberries, when it eats other fruits. When we eat that trout, we're eating everything that the trout eats. And all those different vitamins and minerals add up in the animals through a process called bioconcentration and then get passed on to us. And that's a natural thing when we eat meat. When we're talking about conventionally raised meat, what we're talking about is pretty much just animals eating corn. And all we get from those animals are corn, and we have plenty of corn already. Furthering that, the corn causes inflammatory actions in those animals, and their fats become inflammatory to us. And when we eat that beef, we're eating everything that goes into producing 15 to 20 pounds of corn. 15 to 20 pounds of corn are what it takes to produce a pound of beef. And through bioconcentration, we're getting all the pesticides that are on those 15 to 20 pounds of corn. We're getting all the hormones that are giving to the cows because the cows don't have any mechanism for passing those things out. Evolutionarily, their body has never had to deal with it, nor has ours. So all of those things the body takes, and the body, hopefully the liver can find a way to get it out, but if it can't, it just stores it in fat cells or stores it in the liver itself. And that's something we really don't want. Now, if you look at the reverse of that, let's take the example of the cow again. If that cow is allowed to live on the pasture, not only are you not getting all those harmful chemicals through bioconcentration from the cow, now the cow is eating clover and grass and timothy and all the different greens that cows eat. And they're getting all those different micronutrients that come in and get into their meat. Along with that, the fats that they create have about a 2-to-1 omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, which is what we want in our bodies as well. Healthy cows living a natural life, eating food that they're supposed to eat, come back to that 2-to-1 omega-6 to omega-3 balance, which is what we want. And when you eat that meat, the fats in that meat are not pro-inflammatory, whereas the fats that are in the conventionally raised beef are extremely inflammatory. And how inflammatory are those meats? Processed meats are now considered a class 1 carcinogen. That means that scientists are equally sure that processed meats cause cancer as they are that cigarettes cause cancer. The risk isn't as high as cigarettes in terms of the percentage of you getting cancer from it, but scientists are equally sure that one leads to cancer as they are that the other leads to cancer. And we now know that cancer is mainly a function of inflammation. So not only are they potentially causing cancer, but they're causing all the things that inflammation causes right now. The effects on your energy level, effects on your sleep, effects on your weight. All the effects that you're looking to mitigate by being in this program come from processed meats. The connection with red meat isn't quite so strong, but it's still listed as a probable carcinogen, which indicates that there's definitely some level of inflammation that comes from it. Probably not as much as processed meats, but it's quickly rising up the charts, and very likely in the next couple years will become a known carcinogen instead of a probable carcinogen. It should be said that all these studies are on large populations of people, and when you're studying large populations, it's really hard to separate out what's, say, coming from the meat and what's coming from how the meat is raised. There's really no way of looking at a large population in a scientific way and finding out the difference between conventional meat and pasture-raised meat, although I'm hoping that they'll start doing some studies on that soon. And the question we keep coming back to in the program is it natural? Is it natural to eat meat? And I think the answer to that is clearly yes. Although if you look at all the data, if you look at people who've studied how indigenous people eat, how they believe Paleolithic people eat, humans have eaten a lot less meat historically than we do now. And what they were eating was much more natural than we eat now. You can have a healthy diet that includes meat, but you'll want to keep it to where it's not the center and go-to of your diet. You can also have a diet that's completely vegetarian and be healthy too. Both of those fall on the spectrum of natural. Personally, I'm mostly vegetarian. I started eating meat again recently, largely so I could test the recipes in these programs. But I still find myself eating mostly vegetarian just out of convenience, because it can be really a hassle finding quality meat. And to me, if the choice is between low quality meat and vegetarian, I go vegetarian without a second thought. That choice is up to you. But do bear in mind all these things about meat sourcing when you're making that choice. To make it as convenient as possible for you, I've included a few charts that hopefully will help clarify what some of the definitions are, so you know more about what free range is, organic, grass-fed, pasture-raised, all-natural, hormone-free, all those titles, what they mean. I've also included a link to a resource you can use if you want to find ranchers in your area that raise sustainable meat. You can contact them directly. Other places, if you're here in Portland, New Seasons has pretty good meat quality. You can also go to farmers markets and deal directly with farmers there and get some really fantastic quality meat or eggs. And when you're at restaurants, if they don't mention it on the menu, feel free to ask them. A lot of restaurants that I thought didn't source clean, when I was researching them for the restaurant guide, I found they were delighted to tell me about where they source their things and how natural and sustainable they were.